Hello and welcome to the PSAT Day lesson for English. We all scream for screen time. Here's the situation. Today you're with a different group of people. You'll be with them for the entire day. You have a different teacher than usual. They may not be an English teacher. It kind of feels like a test day. It is a test day, but not really for you. Today you're going to be taught 5 lessons, starting with this one. It is not being taught to you by one of your regular teachers. Instead, it's going to be taught by me, the guy who wrote this. This is less than ideal. I know. I'd like to be in the classroom actually interacting with you. You'd probably like to have someone actually there talking to you instead of a screen. However, there are some good things about the situation being this way. So here are a few benefits. You won't have to read a whole lot today. I can't hand out books or packets or poems or articles. You also won't have to write a whole lot. There'll be a little bit of writing that you'll do, but I can't come and look over your shoulder as you're writing in a notebook. And you also get to watch a lot of TV. So because it is a big screen that you're going to be looking at for a long time, you'll be seeing a lot of video clips. I apologize. There are some drawbacks to being taught this way. You don't get to talk a lot. You don't get to ask me questions. And you have to watch what I chose for you to watch. I grew up in a different era, so you'll be seeing some older works, but hopefully you'll enjoy what we share. There will be a few times where I do ask for some responses, and we'll be using Google Forms to answer those. To use that, you must be logged into your school Google account. So how do we do that? Well, I'm glad you asked. To log into your Google account, you go to google.com. If you're not sure how to do this, you can Google that. When you get there, press sign in. If you're already signed in under a different account, log out. Your email address that you'll use is your student ID number and then @students.kdisd.org. Why not pull out your phone and get this started right now? When it gets to sign in, just make sure that you put down your KDISD ID and then @students.kdisd.org. Once you have that done, you're going to click Next, and then you'll enter your password. You recently had to change your password. If you're wondering if it will be your old password or your new password, guess what? It's going to be your new password. It gets updated as quickly as your KDISD ones. Then you'll click Next, and then you're logged in. So for now, you can just put your phone down. Yeah, seriously though, when you're done, you can put the phone away. Okay, now should be done. Go ahead, put the phone away. Put the phone away. Put the phone away. Put it away. Alright, it'll be one of those days. So the lesson that we're going to be focusing on are the 3 components that can help you prepare for your English STAR test. We're going to focus on analysis and textual evidence, which really can be applied to about 75% of the English test, and also grammar, which hits about 13% of the questions for your English STAR. In analysis, we're going to be figuring out why content is created in a certain way. We're going to focus in especially on characterization, a little bit on setting, a little bit on perspective, and then we're going to figure out how these all combine to give us the meaning of the message of the work. This is going to take a lot, and because of that, I want us to have some fresh content to use. So I've got all these books and articles and poetry. Oh, no, wait. I can't do that. I'm a disembodied voice. Instead, what I can do, we have some videos from movies and TV and YouTube and music videos, etc. We also have some visuals, some comics, some charts, some artwork, and we have some short and sweet text, nothing more than like a paragraph. One advisory about the content. So it's mostly appropriate-ish. Like, it comes from a wide variety of sources. Some of them are rated G, some of them are not so much rated G. In no way am I trying to put something out that is very offensive or violent, but there are a few clips that we'll see that kind of push the boundaries. remember that we're focusing in on how something is said, not what is being said. In no way am I telling you should act like the characters that you see in today's clips, nor am I telling you that you should follow whatever thematic message it is that we have presented. Instead, I want you to just make your own decisions. I'm not really trying to indoctrinate you to believe different things. I didn't think that y'all could be indoctrinated, but then TikTok convinced some of you to destroy the bathrooms that you're going to be using for the next 3 years. Now call me crazy, but if there's a place where I might have to go and really visit the bathroom, I'd like it to be in good working order. So please don't let people convince you to destroy your own bathroom where you might have to have a sit and think at some point in the next few years. Anyway, enough about that. As far as textual evidence goes, this is where when you are analyzing something and you make an inference or an educated guess, we have to see something and say something. In other words, whatever's led you to that inference, you got to spell it out. To illustrate how inferences work, take a look at the picture in the slide that follows. See if you can guess just what's going on based on the picture page. Here we have a lovely picture. Soak it up. So much going on. Okay, so what do we see there? We have some long lines on the road, and the line ends at what looks like a gas station. The rest of the roads are basically empty, and the cars are on the left-hand side. So what do we say? Well, I think there's a gas shortage in England because there are long lines heading to the gas station, or the petrol station, that's what they might call it, while the roads are mostly empty and the cars are driving on the left side as they do in England. Now you may have noticed that I'm using all these different colors to explain all of this. I'll tell you what all those colors mean in just a second, but let's go ahead and start with purple. Whenever I use purple, I'm showing you where you might have to have some prior knowledge. Knowing that cars drive on the left in England is something that would help me identify this as England. If you don't have that prior knowledge, that's okay. You know how you get more prior knowledge? Reading, listening, learning. Okay, more about textual evidence. Let's talk about these 3 levels, and this will explain the colors. The 3 levels I'd like you to focus on when we're grabbing text evidence will be the first level of what's on the lines, the second level of what's between the lines, and the third level of what's beyond the lines. Just what does that mean? Well, to illustrate the 3 levels, I'm going to analyze a beautiful 7-word response I once overheard between a young couple in a hallway by the Katie Mills food courts. The guy said, "Look, I said I was sorry, okay." Now notice I tried to read that with no inflection because I don't want you to know if it was delivered by a guy who looked like guy A, who looks very angry, or guy B, who looks so very sad, or guy C, who looks like he is arguing. So let's break this down. Let's see the different levels at work on this. So what's on the lines means we're just comprehending the words, making sure we understand the message that was being given. He says that he has expressed his regret about the situation. I said I was sorry. And he wants to make sure she understands that he has expressed that regret. That's that look and okay. Making sure she got the message that he regretted the situation. Except let's go a little farther and let's go between the lines, inferring the implied message suggested by the words. So he wants to control the situation by giving a command at his start, look, and giving her a yes or no question, an ultimatum at the end, okay? He wants to end the argument by stressing he has already admitted an error, sorry, so her points in the argument mean nothing. He's not really showing any present regrets because he stresses twice that that regret was in the past when he says said and was. And he's more focused on himself, saying I twice. Now let's go beyond the lines. And this is a little bit of a tricky one, but I want you to think of this more like a thematic message. What is shown by this example that is universal and true for all people? So in this, when we see a couple arguing and trying to get control of the situation, we can say relationships can become battles for control. Or we could say loving someone can put you at risk of being used and hurt. That's a bummer. So then what we have to do is spell it out. We have all these things that we've seen. We know what they say. We have the 3 different levels considered. So now we just got to spell it out. So if we were not going to spell it out, we would get an answer like this. Relationships can become battles for control. It's not that convincing. Now, if we were to spell it out using all of our evidence, oh man, look at that long, beautiful paragraph. Relationships can become battles for control. This is illustrated by a young man in an argument with his special lady friend who tells her, "Look, I said I was sorry, okay?" Despite the fact he is expressing some regret, he attempts to control the argument through commanding language. Look, and an ultimatum, okay, that leaves her only with the option of saying no, that his regret was not okay, or yes, that she knew he had shown regret, so the situation is okay and the argument is over. Also, his regret is established as something he has only said in the past, not something he wants her to know he is currently feeling. His focus is only on himself, not her feelings, illustrated by his mention of I twice and no mention of her. While only 7 words, his response shows how even an admission of regrets can be used to gain control in the power struggle that relationships often are. Look how I took those 7 words and just analyzed them and used the text evidence to put together a full analysis. So now we have something true for everyone. Which guy is it? Is it angry guy? Is it weepy guy? Is it arguing guy? It's arguing guy, because that guy really had it under control. One other thing about textual evidence, and this is especially for my CAP students, when we're talking about tools, I don't just want the terms, okay? So, for instance, here's a whole lot of tools that I might be using if, say, I was trying to fix a dorm room refrigerator. Now, if I were to ask for a hammer and a screwdriver, you'd probably know exactly what I meant, just like anybody kind of knows what a simile and a metaphor is, right? However, if I needed a tri-square, or an adjustable spanner, or a plane, some people wouldn't know what that means because they don't know what those tools are. It's better to describe a tool and its effect when we're trying to point something out. So if you see a tool, you wouldn't just say, oh, tri-square. You would say, hey, can you give me a ruler that kind of bends at the end and has like a right angle? That's what I need. Or I need something that has knobs on both sides that I can rub back and forth on some wood so that it will take some pieces off. That's how I'm going to fix this dorm room refrigerator, apparently. What I'm saying right here is when you use terms that lose a person and you just kind of throw them out there to show that you've learned some vocabulary, it doesn't make for an effective argument. Look, he attempts to control the argument through an imperative interjection, look, and an ultimatum. Okay? We need it spelled out. What's better is to say, he attempts to control the argument through commanding language, look, and an ultimatum that leaves her only with the option of saying no, that his regret was not okay, or yes, that she knew he had shown regret, so the situation is okay, and the argument is over. Here's another example. This is from The Handmaid's Tale by Margaret Atwood. I wait, washed, brushed, fed, like a prize pig. So which analysis of this is more effective? Atwood uses a simile and a sentence to describe how ready Fred was. That's just terms. What about this? Atwood illustrates how much effort has been put into her presentation, giving a list without a true end. Washed, brushed, fed. However, all of this just makes her feel like a prize pig, a lowly animal who's been groomed only to be led to an eventual slaughter. Oh my gosh. When you stretch out the simile and you really talk about what it is that you're comparing and what that means, it makes it so much more effective. Alright, and as far as the grammar that we're going to cover today, we're going to talk about capital letters, we're going to talk about sentence structure, and we're going to talk about commas. And when I say we're going to talk about it, I mean there are some questions on each of the Google Form quizzes, and you'll get some immediate feedback about what you chose there. It's just some practice. Alright, now as far as the lesson, remember we're going to talk about analysis, textual evidence, and get a little bit of grammar. So let's get into this. We're going to start with characterization. When we're talking about characterization, the most important aspects to figure out is whether the character is good or evil. In other words, is this character likable or not likable? Are they trying to make things better or not? Are we pulling for them or do we want them punished? This is going to have a major effect on how we see the story. The other piece that you can see with characterization is the relationships with the other characters. You can tell a lot about a character by how they interact with others and how they think about others. And then we also get to see what their motivations might be. What is driving this character to make these decisions? Another method that we can use to figure out exactly what's going on with a character is the STARM analysis, which I'll show you a few times on this. S is the first letter in STARM, and it stands for says. This is what a character says out loud. And we'll also talk about what they wear, because that's also a little bit of a statement from a character. T is for thinks, what a character thinks. Now, because we're watching a lot of movies and clips, that's only really going to be voiceovers that allow us to see what someone thinks. In a novel, you'll be able to really see what a character thinks, and that's why novels are better. A is for actions. This is what a character does, and this is what someone's judged for. Like that person who broke the bathroom, they'll be judged for that. And then R is for reactions, and that's how others react to the character. If the character walks in the room, everybody else jumps out the window screaming. It says a lot about that character that just walked in. And then M is for motivation, and that's what seems to be driving the character. And a lot of times we have to make an inference to kind of figure that out. But important nonetheless. Alright, the first content we're going to use is the movie Tommy Boy from 1995. We're going to watch some scenes for the exposition of this comedy that starred David Spade and Chris Farley and Rob Lowe. And the exposition is where the characters, settings, and situations are introduced, if you've forgotten that term. We'll start with the characters that are introduced. Pay close attention to how you feel about the characters and why you feel that way. We'll start with the intro of the movie with the young Tommy on his way to school.